Hello, everyone. This is Mike. Okay, here we go. Hello, everyone. This is Mike. Just double check that this is working. Okay, appears to be. All right. All right. Oh, let me pull this up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sim Pro Strategy Football and Second and 10. And I'm going to replay the 1990s. And I'm going to see which football game has uh, ends up being the more accurate in giving out a final result. Now, what you see on the screen right now is uh, I've done two prior videos, and one was the 1970s, one was the 1980s, and I simmed with Second and 10 and Pro Strategy Football, all the Super Bowl, all the regular seasons through the Super Bowl to see if the game would give us the actual results, the actual matchup winners, etc. So extend this out. And just as to let everyone know in advance, this is, I made a graph of it. And in yellow is Second and 10's result. Red is Pro Strategy Football. And in blue is what actually happened in history. So you can see the 1970s, and you will see that Second and 10 got predicted out of the 10 Super Bowls, had two representatives of the AFC correctly. They predicted 1973 Miami and 1979 Pittsburgh would be in the Super Bowl. And they correctly picked three NFC teams in the 1970s. They picked 71 Dallas, 74 Minnesota, and 78 Pittsburgh. And twice they overall picked the team that would win the whole thing. 1971 Dallas won it all, 73 Miami. Pro Strategy Football, in their case for the 1970s, they correctly predicted Oakland in the Super Bowl in 76, Pittsburgh in 78 and 79 for the AFC. And in the NFC, it predicted Baltimore predicted in 1970, Washington in 1972, and Dallas in 1977. And Pro Strategy Football correctly predicted four Super Bowl winners, which ironically were four in a row. They predicted Oakland, Dallas, and Pittsburgh back to back. So if we scroll and we will take a look at the results for the 1980s as a refresher. Second and 10, again in yellow on the left, predicted four of the 10 AFC representatives correctly. They predicted 1981 Cincinnati, 1982 Miami, 1985 New England, and 1989 Denver. For the NFC, they correctly predicted 1981 San Francisco, 1985 Chicago, 1986 New York, the Giants, and 1989 San Francisco. And they predicted out of the 10 seasons of the 1980s, they predicted one Super Bowl champion correctly, 1989, San Francisco. For Pro Strategy Football, it predicted Philadelphia and Oakland, both the NFC and AFC representatives from 1980. They actually got the Super Bowl right, but they inverted who won. For the AFC, Pro Strategy Football correctly predicted Oakland of 1980, Cincinnati of 81, Miami of 82, Cincinnati of 88, and Denver of 89. Pro Strategy Football also correctly predicted for the NFC representatives of the Super Bowl in the 1980s, 1980 Philadelphia, 1982 Washington, um, excuse me, 1983 Washington, 1984 San Francisco, 1985 Chicago, 1988 San Francisco, and 1989 San Francisco. And Pro Strategy Football in the 1980s correctly predicted three champions. They predicted 84 49ers, 85 Bears, and the 89 49ers. Okay, never had that happen before. So I hope I'm still going. Let's see. It appears I am. Okay, I'm back. I don't know what the disconnection was, folks. But I will note, oops, I will note two things in common. For Second and 10 and Pro Strategy Football, and that is Pro Strategy Football and Second and 10 in 1989 nailed it. both simulations had the actual Super Bowl matchup, San Francisco and Denver, and both simulations had the correct winner, San Francisco. I will also note in 1987, you will see both simulations had San Francisco and Cleveland in the Super Bowl. That was the year Washington played Denver. But both simulations had San Francisco playing Cleveland and had San Francisco winning. Now, with this, I will note, if you're familiar with the 1987 season, San Francisco had the best record in the NFL. Jerry Rice set the touchdown record, I believe, at the time, and it was an abbreviated season. On top of that, uh, there was a strike week where there were no games, and there were 3 weeks where there were substitute players. And I think Jerry Rice set the record in a strike shortened season anyway. Cleveland, people will mostly remember 86 as maybe their best team in the Super Bowl era. But in fairness, the 87 team, while the record may not have been as good, was much better statistically. So for these games to do that, in a way, makes sense if you remember the history of the league back then. But what we're going to do now is we're going to do the 1990s. And on the far right in blue, these are the actual results of the Super Bowl in history. So now I'm going to simulate 2nd and 10. You see it on your screen now. I'm going to simulate the season. Let it run its course. And while that's going, I'm going to go to 2nd and 10. I have 1990 already loaded. I'm going to simulate that season. And here we go. Let's see. Pro Strategy Football's result. Let's do 2nd and 10. Let me create the playoff. We'll do 2nd and 10 first, and we'll quick play. And for 1990, 2nd and 10 has Buffalo defeating Philadelphia. In 1990, the Giants defeated Philadelphia. Pardon me, the Giants defeated Buffalo in the Super Bowl. So in this case, Buffalo won in 1990. They just had a different opponent. So let's make a note of this. So we had Buffalo 24 and Philadelphia. What was it, 7? Yep. Okay. So 2nd and 10 got the AFC representative correct. Let's see about Pro Strategy Football. Wow. Pro Strategy Football has the actual Super Bowl matchup, only it has Buffalo winning in a shutout. So let's mark that as Buffalo 30, New York Giants 0. And in this case, it got both the AFC and NFC representatives correct. It just didn't give us the right results. Okay, so we're done with 1990. Let's take a look at 1991. Oops. Let's take a look at 91. And I'll load that now. 2nd and 10. And I will quick play the season. And while that's going on, I'll go back and I will reload 91. And I will restart the league. 1991. Resume season. Load custom schedule. 91. There it is. Okay. All right. Start the season. And we'll simulate. And we'll look at Pro Strategy Football first. Now, in real life, Washington defeated Buffalo in the Super Bowl. And we have Washington defeating Houston in the Super Bowl, 25-17. So Pro Strategy Football got the Super Bowl winner right. And if you remember Houston that year, that was actually, it's believable for them to be in it. Whoops. They were really good. That was one of their better teams. All right. So let's see what 2nd and 10 does. We'll create the playoff after simming that season. All right. And we have Houston defeating Dallas in 1991. Dallas, that was their first year back in the playoffs after a while. And this was the year before they won the whole thing. And again, Houston, if you remember the team back then, that's not in the realm of unbelievable. So we have Houston defeating Dallas 31-10. And 2nd and 10 did not get either of those right. Okay, we go to 1992, and this was the year Dallas ran over Buffalo 52-17. 1992. Okay, yeah, it's this one because that was the most updated one. And I'm going to new season and schedule, load a custom schedule. Whoops. Sorry, folks. 1992. Okay. Simulate season, yes. And for the Super Bowl in 1992, it has Miami and Philadelphia in the Super Bowl, and Philadelphia winning 16-15. Okay, so neither is right for Pro Strategy Football. Let's take a look at 2nd and 10. And we'll simulate that. Probably should do 2nd and 10 first because it takes longer to simulate a season. Okay, let's do create the playoff. And quick play it. And we have San Francisco defeating Indianapolis with 2nd and 10 for 1992. San Francisco, I remember, was 14-2 that year and actually hosted the NFC Championship. A little surprised about the Indianapolis being listed here, but okay. 37-21 San Francisco. So 2nd and 10 did not get that right either. Had completely, had completely different teams. Okay, 37-21. All right. So let's go to 1993, and this was the 2nd year in a row Dallas played the Buffalo Bills. All right, let's see. Where are we? 93? Yeah, 93. Okay, that's updated one. To be sure I've got the right schedule. 93. There it is. It's a weird place. Okay. Let's take a look. Let's create the playoff for 2nd and 10. We'll do 2nd and 10 first. Okay. And 2nd and 10 gets the matchup correct and the winner. And in real life, the score was 30-13. And 2nd and 10 has a score of 31-17. That's pretty darn close. So let's note that. What did we say? 31-17? Double check. Yep. Wow. Okay. So they got all of that right. Let's take a look at 2nd and 10. Oh, you know what? I have to resum because I had custom playoffs. Whoops. Let's try this again. Restart the current schedule. All right. And simulate. Why is it not doing it? Let me load a custom schedule. Something's going on with this one. I'm going to have to revisit this. Okay. That was weird. All right, let's simulate. There we go. All right, and we have, wow, um, same thing. Pro Strategy Football predicted the Super Bowl matchup and the Super Bowl winner with a closer score, but that both games have Dallas and Buffalo, and Dallas winning. Interesting. All right. So at this point in time, we have both teams correctly predicting the 1993 result. And Second and 10 has correctly predicted, one has correctly predicted, these need to be centered. Let me center all this. Just a moment. Yeah. Center all this. Okay. There we go. Bear with me. Okay. All right, maybe save this. Okay. So right now, each game has correctly predicted two of the AFC representatives. Second and 10 has correctly predicted one NFC champion, where Pro Strategy Football has selected three. And Pro Strategy Football has correctly predicted two Super Bowl champions, and Second and 10 won. So 1994, that was the year San Francisco defeated San Diego. So let's load 94. The sniffles, sorry. And we'll quick play that. And while that's going on, let me get out of here and let me load the 94 season for Pro Strategy Football. 94, okay. Load custom schedule. 94, playoffs. Okay. All right. Let's do the playoffs for 94. All right. And second and 10th result has San Francisco defeating Miami, who was a playoff team. And look at that. San Francisco not only won the Super Bowl, but they scored 49 points in real life in the Super Bowl. So they nailed their score. Okay. So second and 10 has San Francisco defeating Miami. What was Miami? 33? Yes. Okay. So they got the NFC representative and the NFC champion. Oops. Let's try that again. I'm trying to center it up, make it look decent. Okay. Now let's see what Pro Strategy Football did. It had Buffalo against Dallas, and Buffalo wins. Well, Dallas was in the NFC Championship, and Buffalo was a playoff team. But neither of those are right. So Buffalo 24, Dallas 12. And neither of those are right. Okay? We move on to 1995. This was the year Dallas defeated Pittsburgh. And we will quick send that while we set up Pro Strategy Football. 05. Load custom. Did I load? Oh, what did I load? I loaded 2005. I need 1995. Sorry about that. Thought that looked weird. 1995. There it is. All right. I'm going to load, be sure I've got the right schedule. There's 95. Okay. And let's playoff format. And we'll simulate the whole thing. And let's create the playoffs for 95 with 2nd and 10. And let's see. 2nd and 10 gives us Kansas City squeaking by Green Bay. 15-12. So neither of those were right for 2nd and 10. Pro Strategy Football tells us Green Bay defeats Miami 26-21. And neither of those are right, although Green Bay did make it to the NFC Championship. And Miami, I don't know if they were a playoff team that year, were they? I have to look that up. I know they were in 94. I know that they got squeaked out by San Diego. 26-21. Okay. Whoops. 21. Okay. So no change for the past for this season. Well, 94. Let's see. Yeah. 2nd and 10 has caught up a little bit. So we go to 1996 now. And that was when Green Bay defeated New England. So 96. And we'll quick play that season. And while that's going on, let's get out of this. And we'll load 96. And there it is. Going to load their schedule. 96. And that's right. Okay, sum. Okay, so we have a result there, but we're going to go ahead and run 2nd and 10s. And 2nd and 10 gives us Green Bay losing to Buffalo, 34-30. Okay. So the NFC representative was right, at least for 2nd and 10. Pro Strategy Football, we have New England beating Dallas by a point, 22-21. So we have Pro Strategy Football gives us the correct AFC representative, but still not the right winner. So okay. 3 more years, and then we'll call it a day on this one. 34-30, 22-21. All right. We are going to 97 next. That was the year Denver defeated Green Bay. And that's right. And we'll sim everything. Let's go over here to 2nd and 10. 97. Quick play the season. So while we're there, let's see. Each game, 2nd and 10 and Pro Strategy Football has correctly predicted 3 NFC representatives. Pro Strategy Football has correctly predicted 3 AFC representatives, while 2nd and 10 has correctly predicted 2. Each simulation has correctly predicted 2 Super Bowl champions at this point in time. So 2nd and 10's caught up. They're like a 1 prediction behind, but they're close. Okay, create playoff, 2nd and 10 for 97. And quick play it, and we get San Francisco defeating Kansas City. San Francisco lost the NFC Championship game, and Kansas City lost the playoff game to Denver. Kansas City was a division champion. Denver was a wild card. Okay, so San Francisco 28-12. And by the way, that is, if you're familiar with the season, that's a believable result, in fairness. So Pro Strategy Football, what do we get? We get Green Bay squeaking a win against Pittsburgh. Now, Green Bay was a defending champion. They were in the Super Bowl. They were huge favorites. Pittsburgh lost to Denver in the AFC Championship game. Pittsburgh, I think, might have been favored in that game, and they beat them in the regular season. And look at that. I remember Pittsburgh went 11-5, and Green Bay in real life went 13-3. So Green Bay 33, Pittsburgh 30. So they got the NFC representative and the champion correct. Okay, we go to 1998. 98 has Denver defeating Atlanta. Okay. Did I pick the wrong league? What did I pick? I picked 88. Whoops. Sorry. 98. 1998. There it is. Go to schedule. 1998. The proper playoff format. And we'll sim that. Go into 2nd and 10. We'll load 98. And we'll quick play the season. And while we're doing that, let's just go ahead and look at what 2nd and 10 did. We have the Jets in 98 defeating the Packers. Well, the Jets were 12-4, and the game even said they were 12-4. They were 12-4 in real life, and they lost the AFC Championship game to Denver. And they were actually winning for a good part of that game, the AFC Championship game against Denver. So for them to get this far is on the believable side. Green Bay went 14-1-1. I want to say they barely had a winning record. They might have had a losing record that year. They were like a average team that year. Not knocking them, but let's see. We have New York defeating Green Bay. New York Jets. What was the score again? 27-7. Well, neither one of those is right. Let's see what 2nd and 10 does. I got to do the playoff bracket. Okay, and quick play it, and we get Denver defeating Green Bay. Made it in that game too. Interesting. But 2nd and 10 got the AFC representative correct and the Super Bowl winner correct. 34-27 Denver. So they got the NFC representative correct and they got the champion correct. All right. So that's where we are. Now we 99. This is when the St. Louis Rams defeated the Tennessee Titans. All right. Let's see what we got. We'll quick play that. Go to Pro Strategy Football. And single season. 99. Make sure I've got the right schedule. 99. Yeah. And that's the right playoff format. And we'll send the whole thing. All right, let's see what 2nd and 10 did first. Let's create the playoff bracket. And sim it. And 2nd and 10 says the Rams beat the Jaguars 34-28, which is believable. The Jaguars were 14-2 in real life. Their only two losses. They got swept by the Titans, who ended up beating them again in the AFC Championship game. So this Super Bowl actually almost happened. So 34-28 Rams. Jacksonville. So I got the NFC and I got the Super Bowl champion right. Okay. Let's see what Pro Strategy Football did. It has the St. Louis Rams defeating the Jacksonville Jaguars. Both of the simulations gave us these same teams. Same outcome in that St. Louis won. All right, so let's take a look at our final results for the 1990s. I'm just going to copy this and I'll blow out the numbers. So let me get this down here. And these numbers are not going to be right. Okay, so let's see how they compared the 1990s. AFC for 2nd and 10. Let's go up here so you're not confused with those numbers. AFC for 2nd and 10. They correctly predicted 2 of the representatives. For the NFC, 2nd and 10 correctly predicted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Half of the representatives for the NFC for the 1990s were correctly predicted by 2nd and 10. 2nd and 10 gave us 1, 2, 3, 4 correct Super Bowl champions out of 10 years. That's pretty good. Pro Strategy Football in red gave us 3 correct AFC representatives in the Super Bowl. NFC, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They gave us 5. Super Bowl champion, they gave us 4. Okay, so here's the final word, I suppose. For the 1990s, with the totals, again, 2nd and 10 in yellow, Pro Strategy Football in red, and what's shown in blue on the right is real life result. Pro Strategy Football has a slight edge, predicting the AFC champion in the 90s, 3-2. Both teams predicted 5 NFC champions. They both got it half right for the whole decade, and both have 4 Super Bowl champions correctly predicted. So that is Pro Strategy Football wins by 1, if you will, because they got 1 more AFC representative in the Super Bowl correct. Now, when it comes to correctly predicting the teams that play in the Super Bowl, let's see. The Dallas Buffalo matchup, and the from 1993 was flat out predicted correctly by 2nd and 10. Pro Strategy Football correctly predicted the Bills and the Giants in 1990 and the Cowboys and the Bills in 1993. So there's a 2-1 edge there with Pro Strategy Football. Let's again take a look at the other decades we've done. The 80s, 2nd and 10 has here. So this is a little clear. I should probably copy all this and put it right there. Whoops, maybe not right there, right there. Okay, so that's the 90s. In the 80s, this is a recap. 2nd and 10 correctly predicted 4 AFC representatives, 4 NFC representatives, and correctly predicted 1 Super Bowl right. Pro Strategy Football correctly predicted 5, half of the AFC representatives, 6, just over half of the NFC representatives, and predicted 3 Super Bowls correctly. Let me center all these. That looks a little confusing. There we go. All right. So both did respectable, but Pro Strategy Football has the nod on that one. And here, I'm going to center all these as well. Okay. And for the 1970s, we have 2nd and 10, 2 AFC champions correctly predicted, 3 NFC champions correctly predicted, 2 Super Bowl winners correctly predicted. For Pro Strategy Football, 3 AFC and 3 NFC champions correctly predicted, and 4 Super Bowl champions predicted. So for the 1970s, Pro Strategy Football has an edge. For the 1980s, Pro Strategy Football has an edge. For the 1990s, This is close. It's Pro Strategy Football by a hair. So that's it for now. And what I'll do is eventually I'll do the 2000s decade and compare Pro Strategy Football with Second and 10. So I hope you enjoyed this little run through, and catch you next time. Have a good one, everybody.